Hello, Ace Movie Recaps here. Today, I'm going to recount an animated fantasy movie titled The Neverending Story. Picture a boy finding a book that takes you to a fantasy world where you are the main character. The story begins with Bastian, a shy outcast who lives with his father, Mr. Bucks. While having lunch with his dad, he brings up his deceased mother and tells his dad that he saw her in his dreams. The father motivates him, but then scolds him for failing his math test. His teacher complained that he rarely submits his homework and is busy drawing unicorns. His dad scolds him for it and asks him to work harder on his studies. Bastian agrees, and his father goes to work. One day, while on the way to school, Sebastian is chased by bullies. When Bastian says he has no money, they chase him and throw him in a dumpster. He manages to escape, but the bullies are waiting for him. He seeks refuge in a library, annoying the shop owner. Mr. Coriander, the shop owner, asks him to leave and inquires if he can read. He was prepared to bully him, but Bastian surprises him by naming 4 to 5 books. Coriander takes an interest in Bastian, and Bastian asks which book he was reading. Coriander tells him that the book is special and not intended for kids, declaring it as not safe. He receives a phone call and steps away momentarily. Bastian seizes this opportunity and steals the book, leaving a note on the table. When he reaches school, he finds out that a math test is in progress. Our little boy is scared of math and prefers to draw a long, stick-figured animal instead. Anyway, he enters an empty room and starts reading the book titled The Neverending Story. Whatever he reads is depicted in the movie, which is set in a different world known as Fantasia. In Fantasia, there is a guy in a hat named Teeny Weeny, a stone monster called Rockbiter, and a peculiar-looking character known as Nighthawk. Rockbiter asks if he can join them and picks up a limestone, tasting it and exclaiming that it's delicious. It seems like he took his mom's scolding a bit too seriously. Now he's eating rocks. Rockbiter shares the story of his hometown mysteriously disappearing without a trace. They all decide to visit the Empress to seek her help. They embark on their journey and make their way to the tower. The book describes the fantasy world of Fantasia slowly being devoured by a malevolent force called the Nothing, which devours the surrounding areas. Upon reaching the tower, they are shocked by its beauty. The Empress's subordinate informs everyone that she is ill and unable to cure the problem. He reveals that the Nothing is connected to this issue, and only one warrior, Atreyu, can save them. When Atreyu reveals himself, everyone is shocked to see that it is just a young child. Before embarking on his adventure, he must leave everything behind and risk everything he has. He receives a locket from the subordinate, similar to the one on Bastian's book cover. Atreyu sets off on a quest to find a cure for the Empress, riding on the back of his horse. They rest and eat their food, while Bastian also eats his meal. They continue their journey, and Atreyu and his horse must pass through a swamp. Unfortunately, the horse gets stuck in the swamp and cannot escape. It sinks deeper and deeper until it ultimately perishes. Atreyu is in tears, and Bastian is also crying. Later, he encounters a giant turtle, Morla. He asks Morla for help in curing the Empress, but the turtle seems to harbor a strong dislike for humans. Atreyu explains that everyone will perish if the Empress isn't cured, but Morla claims that he doesn't care whether anyone lives or dies. He realizes that his shell won't protect him if the world comes to an end. Nevertheless, he informs Atreyu that the cure for the Empress can be found at the Southern Oracle. When Atreyu asks about its location, Morla reveals that it is 10,000 miles away. Atreyu is both shocked and determined. He must save the Empress no matter what. As he proceeds, he becomes trapped in a swamp, just like his horse, while being pursued by the creature of darkness named Gmork. Fortunately, Falkor the Luck Dragon comes to his rescue. We see them in a peculiar setting where Atreyu is asleep on Falkor's lap. Atreyu attempts to sneak away, but Falkor awakens and assures him that he won't eat him. He even asks if Atreyu is willing to scratch his ear. Falkor promises to assist him in his quest. There are two gnomes who reside nearby, with the male gnome being obsessed with scientific experiments. Atreyu stands at the gate of their house, and the lady gnome tells him it has to hurt if it has to heal, while giving him medicine. Atreyu's reaction indicates that the taste of the medicine isn't particularly pleasant. Anyway, the old man gnome takes him to his laboratory and shows him the gate he must pass through to reach the Southern Oracle. In order to cross the gate, Atreyu must have confidence in his power and cross it without fear. Using a device resembling a telescope, Atreyu gazes at the gate and sees a soldier on horseback passing through. Slowly, the eyes of the two statues begin to open, preparing to attack him. Fear fills Atreyu's heart, but the old man and Bastian shout at him, urging him to run. Miraculously, he narrowly escapes death. The old man jubilantly runs around and informs the old lady and Falkor that Atreyu successfully passed the gate. Fearfully, he informs them that Atreyu now has to confront the second gate, the Mirror Gate. He tells Falkor that Atreyu must face his true self, and Falkor believes it won't be too difficult. However, the old man gnome informs him that most people run away from their true selves. Atreyu traverses a brutal snowstorm and finally reaches the Mirror Gate, where he sees a young boy reading a book. Guess who? It's none other than the timid Bastian, who is depicted as a warrior in this book. Bastian panics and throws away the book, deciding not to read it anymore. However, his curiosity gets the better of him, and he picks up the book, continuing to read. Atreyu also passes through the mirror and discovers the Southern Oracle. He asks if they have a cure for the Empress's illness, and they respond affirmatively. Atreyu inquires about the cure, and they inform him that he must give the Empress a new name. Atreyu thinks it's a simple task, and tells them that he can give her any name she desires. The Oracle explains that it cannot be done by someone from Fantasia. It must be a human child who renames her. Atreyu asks where he can find the human child, and the Oracle reveals that the child is located at the boundaries of Fantasia. They urge Atreyu to hurry, and suddenly collapse before him, emphasizing that time is running out and he must hasten, or else the Nothing will obliterate everything. He calls for Falkor, and they embark on their journey. Atreyu asks Falkor to hurry, to which Falkor assures him that they will make it in time. When Atreyu asks if Falkor knows the location of the boundary, Falkor replies, "I have no idea." However, he tells Atreyu that they will encounter a human child with luck along the way. They continue their journey, and we witness that Atreyu is remarkably skilled at riding a dragon. As they proceed, the Nothing attacks them, causing Atreyu to fall from Falkor's back. Meanwhile, a storm also rages in Bastian's world. Atreyu finds himself on a seashore, realizing that his locket is missing. He continues moving forward and calls out to Falkor, who is also searching for him. Along his path, he encounters Rockbiter, who reveals that the Nothing took his friends away despite his powerful rocky hands. Rockbiter expresses his grief and asks Atreyu to vanquish the Nothing. As Atreyu presses on, he discovers wall paintings depicting his entire journey from the Empress Tower to his current location, leaving him deeply shocked. Gmork, the creature of darkness, appears before Atreyu and explains the nature of the Nothing. Fantasia has no physical boundaries. It exists within the realm of human imagination. However, Fantasia is collapsing because humans have lost their hopes and dreams. This empowers the Nothing to grow stronger. Gmork reveals that he serves the power of the Nothing, and his sole purpose is to kill Atreyu, the only one capable of defeating it. Gmork attacks Atreyu, proclaiming that he should feel honored to be his final prey. However, Atreyu fights back and manages to kill Gmork using a pointed stone. Meanwhile, Falkor locates the missing locket deep in the sea. The Nothing resumes its destructive force, and Atreyu desperately calls for Falkor's help. Falkor arrives just in time and rescues Atreyu. They take flight into space, where Falkor informs Atreyu that the Nothing has consumed all of Fantasia. Atreyu assumes all the blame, but Falkor reassures him that he did his best. Atreyu, filled with remorse, wishes upon the locket. He asks to take him to the Ivory Tower, if it still exists. The locket glows, and they witness the resplendent Ivory Tower before them. Overjoyed, they move towards it, and Atreyu encounters the childlike Empress. Atreyu appears saddened, and the Empress reveals that she is aware of the human child who can save them all. Atreyu grows angry, reflecting on the loss of his horse, the collapse of this world, and the hardship he endured, only to discover that the Empress already knew about him. He demands to know where the child is. The Empress explains that the child is with them, but he doesn't realize it. The child lacks the courage and confidence in his own powers. Unbeknownst to Bastian, the book he stole from the bookstore is his very own Neverending Story. Bastian, now thoroughly confused, dismisses it as just a storybook and denies its connection to him. However, the Empress insists that they are indeed speaking about him and urges him to call out her new name quickly before the world collapses. Bastian, realizing his role, shouts, "Moonchild!" Darkness envelops everything. But soon, Bastian sees the Empress standing right in front of him. She hands him a single grain of sand, explaining that it's the only remnant left from Fantasia. The Empress reveals that Fantasia is the world of Bastian's dreams and grants him infinite wishes. Every wish he makes will come true, and he must use his power to improve Fantasia. Bastian's first wish is to ride on Falkor's back and soar high in the sky. They travel across Fantasia and everything returns to normal. Atreyu is reunited with his horse, and it's as if the Nothing never existed. Falkor asks Atreyu for his next wish, and Atreyu takes Falkor to his own world, where they scare three bullies with Falkor's imposing presence. Bastian chases them just as they once pursued him, while Falkor terrifies them, appearing like a fearsome monster. Filled with a cheerful smile, Bastian witnesses the bullies hiding in a dumpster, experiencing their own medicine. With that, the story concludes. If you enjoyed this content, please remember to smash that thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel. Goodbye!